The year seems to have just flown by, and here we are at the halfway point of this year. And I'm going to do some predictions and guidance for the month of June. Stay tuned for that. Hello everybody, I'm Tina Chaudhary. Welcome to my channel and a very, 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 very warm namaste. Aham Brahmasmi. Before I go any further talking about June, I have one thing that I really have to say. First of all, my predictions are based on Vedic astrology or the sidereal astrology calculations. So please make sure you listen to the right section. I'm finding out that people are listening to based on their sun signs. Now the sun sign is what it's, normally newspapers and magazines are based on, and that's just pure entertainment. There's no accuracy related to it. So please don't listen to it based on those zodiac signs. Now, what if you don't know your ascendant or your Vedic astrology calculation? So I have a link in my description box, which you can click and you enter in your birth data, which is, the time of birth, place of birth, and obviously the date of birth, and it tells you exactly based on the Vedic astrology calculations what your ascendant is, what your moon sign is, and of course the placements for all the other planets. Now an ascendant is also called the rising sign, and in Hindi it's called your lagna. So when I say ascendant based on your ascendants, I mean that it's your rising sign or your lagna. So my predictions are always based on that. So make sure you're listening to the right section, please. Based on the people that are coming to me for consultations, I'm finding out they're listening to the completely wrong sign. So again, link is in the description box. Make sure you click it and find out the correct section that you should be listening to. So now I'm going to move on to talking about June. So let's take a look at the planetary placements, alignments, and the significant impact that we're going to get in June and which planet is going to do that. So in the beginning of the month, on June 7th, Mercury is the one that's going to make a transit from where it's currently in Aries, and it's going to move on to Taurus. This is good because recently Mercury has not only been combust, but it's been retrograde. So finally, we have a direct moving Mercury in Taurus. So there's relief from that, meaning, retrograde Mercury always gives us some challenges in our communication. So there's relief from that. Then on June 15th, the sun moves out of Taurus and it goes into the zodiac of Gemini. The sun always has a transit in the middle of the month. But the major drama is going to start on June 17th. So I would say that the month is going to be split into two. So before June 17th and then after June 17th. Now, two very impactful things are going to happen on June 17th. One of the things is going to be that Saturn is going to start its retrograde motion. So Saturn has been in Aquarius since the beginning of this year in January. And it's been in the nakshatra of Satbishak. Satbishak is ruled by Rahu. But now on June 17th, it starts its retrograde motion, and the retrograde motion is going to be for quite a few months. I will make a separate video on that later after this video. So I will talk about Saturn's retrograde motion. It's a very, very impactful, important planetary transit. So I will talk about that separately. I will take that into account a little bit when I do my predictions, but that certainly deserves its own video. So we'll talk about that. So that happens on June 17th. But one of the other things that will also happen is that Venus, which doesn't have a transit in June, it's in the zodiac of Cancer. It's going to stay in Cancer. But what it's going to do is it's going to change its nakshatra and go into the nakshatra of Ashlesha. And guess who's sitting in Ashlesha already? Mars is going to be in Ashlesha at the same time. So Mars is debilitated in Cancer. I made a video on that. If you haven't watched it, make sure you watch it because it's a very, very impactful transit. It's very important, has a lot of impact on all of us. So Mars is already in Cancer and it's debilitated there. And then Venus is going to be in Cancer for the whole month of June, but it's going to change its nakshatras very fast. On then June 17th, it comes into Ashlesha with Mars. So here we have two planets that are going to be in this very challenging nakshatra of Ashlesha which is going to be Mars and Venus, and they're going to be there all month. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this nakshatra and how they're going to impact us, because this month, like I said, there's going to be before June 17th, and then there's going to be the drama after June 17th. So all of a sudden after June 17th, we're all going to start feeling some impact of these transits, Saturn going retrograde and both Mars and Venus, which are very obviously very important, impactful planets, going to be in this very challenging nakshatra of Ashlesha. So that's the planetary alignments of June. Let's take a look at these two planets that are going to be in Ashlesha and why they're going to be so significant and how they're going to impact all of us at a personal level. So we need to understand this nakshatra of Ashlesha before we can even think what impact Venus and Mars being in this nakshatra could possibly have on us. So the nakshatra of Ashlesha is at the in between two zodiacs, which is Cancer and Leo, and hence it's considered a Gandant nakshatra. A Gandant nakshatra is exactly that, which is it comes in between a zodiac that's a fire sign and a water sign. So Cancer's water and Leo is fire. So it's this nakshatra that comes in between. It's a Gandant nakshatra. I'll talk a little bit about that. The other thing, it's ruled by Mercury. So Gandant nakshatras are typically difficult nakshatras because they represent the spiritual knot. And Gandant, the word means a knot, but in this case, in Vedic astrology, it means the spiritual knot or a karmic knot. And they're tough to deal with, these nakshatras, because you have to deal with some pent-up karma, some past life karma, or just this life karma before they let you progress in life. That's why these Gandant nakshatras are a little challenging to deal with. So people that have in their birth chart any planets that are in any Gandant nakshatra, they have some karmic past karmas that they have to deal with and cleanse out before they can progress in life. That's why it's considered challenging to have some of the Gandant nakshatras in your birth chart. But I mean, they're not scary. It's just that once you identify what are the challenges, you are able to move on once you cleanse them out and you deal with them. So now the other representation that Ashlesha has, the main representation that Ashlesha has, it's represented by a serpent. It's not an ordinary serpent. This is a serpent that has lots of collected poisons and toxins within it, but it also has mystic or occult powers. And it also has these very hypnotic eyes. People that have any planet in Ashlesha in their birth chart, if you look at their eyes, they have very hypnotic eyes. You'll notice that. I've had some consultations with people that have some planets in this nakshatra, and you could just tell even on a Zoom call, they've got these bright eyes. So as a side note, but what it does is that when you think of a serpent, it's got these toxins within it. And one of the other qualities of any snake or serpent is that they shed their skin and they grow new skin. So they shed the skin that no longer fits them and they grow new skin. And this, when Ashlesha is represented by a serpent, the two things you keep in mind is the fact that there's collected toxins and poisons and the shedding of skin. And the shedding of skin represents a transformation. The transformation comes from the association with the poisons and the toxins that are collected within this serpent. The serpent carries these toxins and poisons within it. And so the representation that we use in Vedic astrology, how I interpret this nakshatra, is that all of us, or people that have this nakshatra in their birth chart, or now that these planets are going into this nakshatra of Ashlesha, is that we examine what are the toxins and the poisons that we've collected within ourselves. And because Venus is involved, Venus represents relationships. It represents how we deal with money and our resources, financial resources. We take a very good look at how we deal with that. What is our karma associated with it? What are the poisons necessarily that we've collected within us as far as some relationships are concerned? Are we not dealing with things correctly? Are we holding all these negative thoughts about other people, about key relationships in our life? Venus isn't just about your love relationships or your spouse. It can mean any relationship. So it's the poisons and the toxins that we collect within ourselves as far as other relationships in our life are concerned. And so we take a look at that. And then we shed the skin and we grow new skin, meaning we transform ourselves so we can move forward very easily. So we move forward from this water sign of Cancer and go into the fire sign of Leo, and we cross the Gandant. We cross the spiritual knot of the Gandant nakshatra. And the Mercury represents that we use the intellect, our intelligence, to understand what these poisons that we have within us. We get rid of the poisons, we get rid of the skin that we no longer need. We grow new skin, meaning we transform ourselves to become better human beings within relationships and how we deal with our material things in life. And then as we become new human beings, we have this new skin and we cross over into the sign of Leo. Leo represents a position because it's a royal sign. It represents the king. So as we move on and we leave all the toxins behind, we grow new skin, we transform, and we attain a higher position in our lives. Like I said, Leo represents the king. It's a very royal sign. So once you're able to get rid of all these toxins that you've collected within you and you go through the process of transformation, that's when you attain this beautiful position, the position of royalty. I don't mean royalty in literally. I mean royalty within yourselves, meaning in your life. You feel better about yourself. You feel richer and you feel more in command of your life. And that's what I really mean when I say you attain a position. You can actually attain a position even in your career all of a sudden, or in your life with relationships. You attain a better status and a better position once you're able to cross this Gandant position of the Ashlesha Nakshatra. It's not a coincidence that right now Ketu, excuse me, that Ketu has been sitting in Libra for a very long time. It's been disturbing everybody's relationships. Libra rules our relationships. So a lot of us have been experiencing challenges in relationships. And now when Venus comes into this nakshatra of Ashlesha, it's guiding us and telling us, hey, get rid of the toxins and the poisons that we're holding within us, and move on to a new you. Shed the old skin of negativity, shed the old skin of challenging relationships, getting into fights and getting into disagreements. Become the better person. And so you cross this Gandant and attain a better position within yourselves. So this is what I think that when Venus and Mars both sit in Ashlesha mean, especially when Ketu is in the zodiac of Venus' own zodiac of Libra. This is what I really think that this means. And so when come June, the second half of the month, your relationship's going to be tested very strongly. And with Mars being there, Mars being debilitated there, the tendency to fight within relationships, the tendency to get angry in relationships, pent up frustration is going to be there. And it's also counseling. So the counsel is that, you become better people, get rid of the toxins, get rid of the poisons that we hold within ourselves as far as other relationships are concerned. Don't fall for the debilitation Mars energy, which is to, get frustrated, fight with people, and just move on. So you get rid of the negativity, you move on and try to become a better person. And that's what the energy of June is going to be, where it's going to test relationships. But you need to pass that test and move on to being better people. So don't fall for this challenging nakshatra. The nakshatra really is trying to guide you on how you need to handle this disturbed energy of June, and not fall for this, the challenging transit of Mars and the challenging transit of Venus. Just be better people. Don't fall for this energy. So that's the guidance I can give you. Before I move on to predictions, I just want to mention two things. I made two videos. One was regarding healing relationships, whether they're fractured or you want to improve certain relationships. I made that video. I'll put a link on my description box, but a lot of people have sent me so much positive feedback on how they're using that, and how much they feel better about it. So if you haven't watched that and you're not doing it, make sure you watch it and try it at least once. The link is in the description box. The other one is for the manifestation of desires. Now, I cannot even tell you how many people have emailed me because they don't want to put things in the comments and told me that their desires are already being manifested, they're on their way to coming or actually manifested. So if you haven't tried that, make sure you try that and listen to that video. The link for that will be in the description box as well. And of course, as usual, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe. I have gotten so much love from you guys. Some of you guys have been watching me since I started my channel just a couple of years ago, and I'm almost at 50,000 subscribers. So please do subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and definitely share my videos with your friends and family so I can get more subscribers and I keep making these wonderful videos for you. And now I move on to predictions. Make sure you're listening to the correct zodiac. The other thing you always have to remember that these are general predictions and your actual results impacts are always going to be dependent on your dasha, mahadashas that you're undergoing, and of course your very, very personalized custom birth chart that you all have. So these are general predictions, and make sure you watch the correct zodiac sign. Aries for June. Aries, as far as career is concerned, the second half of the month has better prospects for career and finance due to Sun being in the third house. So this gives a very nice boost to your personality, as well as gives you lots of energy and confidence to start new things and take new initiatives. But the results of your hard work and effort will be rewarded on a delayed basis because Saturn is turning retrograde at the same time. So keep up the hard work, but manage your expectations accordingly. Don't get disheartened if you are expecting to work very hard, but you don't see rewards immediately. Financially, this is a favorable month as far as earnings is concerned. And if you're a business owner, you'll see good profits. But at the same time, there could also be some expenses related to purchasing luxury items or spending for the family. This is also a very good time for managing investments or doing some speculation related financial planning. But make sure you do it with good thought, expert advice, and wise thinking. Don't do anything risky, but this is a good time for that as well. The fourth house gets very activated due to Mars and Venus in there. So focus will be on domestic matters such as expenses for the household and expenses on your partner. You may be also very tempted to spend on real estate or also on things related to the house. The second half of the month, you may also feel the need to reflect on your relationships and how you need to manage them in a better way. The presence of debilitated Mars in the fourth house means you need to take good care of your mother's health or manage your relationship and make sure you stay on good terms with your mother. Manage the relationship with her as well. Control your temper and your frustrations. Issues related to friends, siblings could resurface now and impact your relationships now because Saturn is retrograde in the 11th house. So something from the past could resurface now and get you a little upset at this time. Just manage your expectations with others and relationships. Like I said, introspect within yourself and figure out what it is that you do in relationships that could improve them. Family life may be disturbed due to rifts because of monetary and real estate matters as well. Aries has had a very tough time in relationships due to Ketu's presence in the 7th house. The 7th house rules marriage and all partnerships. And June is where you may need to self-introspect, like I said, and realize your need to change your strategy and how you have been managing your relationships in the past. So the focus is mainly on your relationships this month and money management. Health is not an issue this month. And some of the Aries might travel after mid-month. Taurus for June. Taurus, for you, as far as career is concerned, Saturn in the middle of the month will retrograde in your house of career. So it will slow down any progress that you have been making or were expecting to make. At the same time, Jupiter and Rahu are in the 12th house, increasing your expenses as they have been for the last several months. So there is some mental stress and worry and may even give you some sleep disturbance in June. There is also the possibility of work-related travel this month. Some Taurans may also travel overseas or long-distance travel. Even though expenses are staying high, there's planets in the 2nd house in June. So this is favorable in terms of being able to earn money later in the month. So there's opportunity to earn in June. And even though your expenses are staying high, the opportunity to earn income is improved in June. Business owners, be aware of the competition before you make any new investments. As I said for Taurus, and I have been saying that because the 12th house is extremely activated for Taurus, the chance of losses is high if you're a business owner. And if you're employed, then the expenses are going to be extremely high until the Jupiter Rahu transit in the 12th house is going on. The health is okay, it's nothing to worry about, but later in the month, after the mid-month, some nagging cold related issues could come up, but it's nothing to worry about, just small naggy things regarding cold or sinuses. Now, relationships may be impacted by misunderstandings, so be very flexible and make compromises with relationships. And don't be stubborn about them. Sometimes Taurus tends to get stubborn and wants things on their own terms. This is not the month when you do that. And mainly relationships with siblings and also love relationships could get disturbed. So take care you don't avoid and make sure you avoid arguments within the family as well. The one caution that I have regarding career is that some issue that occurred in the past in your career, or something that was started but not completed in the past, now will resurface all of a sudden, and you may have to deal with it now. So be prepared for some sudden development in your career, and because of the Saturn retrograde. Also, a lot of you may be tempted to start spending on real estate, so you have to be very careful. And do your due diligence before you spend on real estate. Communication is going to be a key for Taurus because Sun, after the middle of the month, moves into the second house. So there could be some egoistic communication, and you may start, having little disagreements with people because of your ego, especially coworkers. So make sure you manage that. Don't fall for that. And lastly, but certainly not the least, a lot of travel houses getting activated for Taurus. So there may be travel for Taurus, short distance, as well as long distance travel. Gemini for June. As I've been saying for Gemini for a while now, that because of the Jupiter Rahu conjunction in the 11th house, this is very positive in terms of material gains for Gemini. And this month, because Mercury is also conjunct with them, that there's possibility of gains from real estate also. So that's a possibility as well. So it couldn't get any better for Gemini as far as material gains is concerned and income is concerned, returns on investments is concerned. But obviously, as far as the return on investments is concerned, you always have to be very careful before you do that. Don't make investments blindly because I said it was a good gains month. But the focus in June is not going to be so much material gains. It's going to be the fact that Mars and Venus are in the second house. So this starts to impact relationships. The possibility of damaging relationships and having conflicts in relationships is very high right now because Mars is debilitated in your second house, and the second house is your speech and communication. And for you, Mars rules the sixth house. So sixth house is the house of, it could be a damaging house. So your communication is going to be very critical this month. And then Venus joins it. So obviously Venus rules your relationships as well. Relationships with children, relationships with love life. And so you need to be very cautious about how you're talking to people, what you're saying to people. And especially these relationship issues could come up because of monetary issues. And one of the things that's also getting activated is that Saturn turns retrograde after the middle of the month. And so it brings up issues from the past. And everybody starts talking about it. And before you know it, there's a family quarrel or a disagreement or some arguments or fights start. So you have to be very, very cautious about what you're saying to people, as all relationships. Now I'm just saying all relationships. And how you're saying them. And if something from the past does come up, you need to manage your communication. Don't start battling with people. Just let the time pass because this is not a good thing and it could lead to permanent damage within relationships. On the other hand, there are elements of happiness as well because Saturn is in the ninth house. So the ninth house is, the house of good luck. So if you can manage your relationships, this month is really a month of ups and downs in relationships. There's elements of happiness, then there's the element of having disagreements. As far as career is concerned, like I mentioned, Saturn is retrograde in the ninth house. So it will give some good opportunity to travel for work, or as well as learning new skills for your work, gaining additional knowledge. Now, if that opportunity comes up, don't turn it down, because it will prove to be very beneficial in the long run. Finance, I've already mentioned that it's a good time for Gemini, but this time it's also going to be an expensive month, and you might be spending on relationships as far as also prior commitments are concerned. In fact, there's a chance that an expense or a money issue comes up from the past. It comes up suddenly from the past that you now have to pay for. Also, take care of your health. Mars is in the second house, so there's a possibility of some dental issues, but definitely there's a possibility of digestive issues coming up. What you eat, you need to be very careful with. It might give you some digestive issues, so just be careful with your diet. Eat things that agree with you. Cancer for June. Cancer, as far as your career is concerned, there's going to be a lot of pressure as far as performance, workload, and general work pressure is concerned. Many Cancerians may feel lack of job stability. Some are in the process of changing their jobs, and some may be actively searching for new jobs. Rahu, Jupiter in their 10th house and Saturn in the 8th house are causing them quite a bit of worry and stress, not just in June, but for the next few months as far as career is concerned. Now in June, Saturn is going to be retrograde after mid-month. So there could be some work-related issues from the past that resurface now. These could be actually positive or negative, but they now impact you, in June. And so you're going to see the results of something that was done or not completed well in the past. So you need to be prepared for that, something suddenly that comes up from the past and starts to impact you during the Saturn retrograde period. Now, in June, Mercury is also going to be in your 10th house of career, conjunct with Jupiter, Rahu. So my guidance to you would be to use this very favorably. Mercury rules communication, and for you, it also rules the 3rd house. So it rules communication. So how you communicate with your coworkers, how you talk to people, how you present yourself to people is going to be very, very important this month. And so make sure that you're very professional in your approach. Make sure that what you write, emails, all kinds of verbal, written communication is impeccable. And this will actually be very beneficial for you. So that's my guidance for Cancer. I know their career is probably unstable at this point, but that's one of the guidance that I could give to Cancer, is to watch communication very well. Don't get into battles with people, verbal or written. But on the opposite side, be very, very impeccable, professional in writing and in verbal communication at this time. This is a month where relationships are also tested because of the Saturn retrograde in the 8th house. Things just happen suddenly. And then Mars and Venus are in your ascendant house in the nakshatra of Ashlesha. So after mid-month, you may feel pent-up frustration, anger with your spouse, love life, children. So you may also feel a lack of attention and appreciation. But I'm counseling you that you need to introspect within yourself more than any other zodiac, and work on getting rid of the negativity that is within you as best you can. You need to teach yourself how to value these relationships and how not to be so negative and picky about other people and how they're behaving in their relationships. Just look at how you're behaving in the relationships. You can control yourself, you really can't control others. But more importantly, you have to tell yourself that you value these relationships, and you learn to ignore the little things that people may be doing or may not be doing. So at this time, you may have emotional fights and outbursts, but they're going to be detrimental to relationships. So just teach yourself that it's not worth it and move past it. Try to do positive things for yourself so you feel emotionally healthy at this time. Ketu has been in the 4th house for Cancer for quite a long time, and the 4th house is your mental happiness, peace, relationship with your mother. And so Ketu has just ruined that for several Cancerians. So, you need to focus on happiness and mental happiness, as well as relationship with your mother as well. As far as health is concerned, Saturn does retrograde in the 8th house after mid-month, so there's a possibility of some past health issue coming up again. And this could be related to the lower bowels or also related to your feet. So take good care of your health and eat sensibly. Leo for June. Leo, your ascendant Lord Sun has now been in the 10th house of career, and so your entire focus has been on your career, how you can move forward with it. And now as it moves in the mid-month, it moves to the 11th house, and so now your focus is on how you can get rewarded and get some material gains in your career. Unfortunately, when the sun transits the 10th house, it tends to give an ego within your career, or relationships with coworkers may get disturbed because of ego issues. So you need to watch for ego issues in the first half of the month and try to be very cordial in your relationships with your coworkers, especially your seniors at this time. Don't get angry, upset, or frustrated with others, and don't try to boss them around, because this is probably not going to have good consequences. Now, there is a very good chance that you do get very good results in your career, because the sun's transit in the 10th or the 11th house is actually considered positive. So you do get very good visibility. You're noticed by seniors. You may be noticed for promotion. You may be rewarded very handsomely. But at the same time, you do need to manage your own behavior. So overall, it's a very promising month as far as career and finance is concerned. And those looking for a new job, this might be the month you get it. Speaking financially, this is an excellent month for Leo. All the income houses are getting very positively activated. So Mercury is in the 9th house. Sun is going into the 11th house, and Mercury is a very positive planet for Leo. So it's a very positive month in terms of income and positive material gains. So that's excellent. But on the flip side, Venus and Mars are in the 12th house of expenses. So it's going to be an expensive month as well. So I see a lot of Leos, they get some money and then they start spending it. And a lot of Leos may be very tempted to spend on real estate, or matters related to the home, spending on renovations, buying things for the home, buying even a car. So a lot of Leos are very tempted to do that. And Leos may also travel this month. So there's also some travel related expenses that I'm seeing. It could be foreign travel. It could be related to travel to learn new things, like education-based travel, or it could actually be a short distance travel. Saturn's retrograde in the 7th house after mid-month puts some stress on partnerships and your marriage. And this can also impact your spouse's health. The only challenge that Leo is going to have in June is as far as their relationship is concerned. And this is going to be the relationship with the marriage partner, because they're just not going to be interested in doing anything fun. Saturn is in the 7th house. It's going to be there for a long time. And so their partner is just not up for fun things. They may actually start bickering and getting into fights. And there may be issues that they bring up from the past, and they keep talking about that and wanting to start some sort of an argument. You need to manage through that. Other than that, it's a positive month for Leos. Even with other relationships, it's positive. This is also very positive in terms of relationship with children and relationships with love life. Overall, Leo, this is a good month for you. Just don't expect too much from your marriage partner. And, if there's arguments that get started, you just need to diffuse them, not get pulled into them. Virgo for June. Virgo, as far as your career is concerned, Saturn will retrograde in the 6th house, and that indicates very positive outcomes in your career. You will have a very good sense of commitment, the energy, and the desire to work hard and do well, and your performance will be quite excellent. Later, after mid-month, due to the Mars and Venus movement in the 11th house, you will get a chance to promote yourself in your professional network and even get really good name recognition in your field. At the same time, Rahu and Jupiter are in the 8th house, springing all kinds of surprises and sudden changes to plans. And so you need to be very flexible and adaptable. And so I've been saying this for the last several months, that Virgo has had their plans change continuously. They plan something and it changes, then they plan and then it changes again. So it's not status quo for Virgo as far as plans are concerned. So stay very flexible until this transit is going on, which is later this year. And so this trend continues in June as well. Just completely keep your mind open and be very flexible to plans getting changed all the time. But this month is really very, very positive in terms of your career. Financially as well, this is a very favorable month because Venus transits to the 11th house. Venus rules your finance house. So there's a chance of increase in savings and a better money management. I think you'll be happy this month as far as your financial situation is concerned. Your past hard work will get you monetary benefits, and you may see that this month. So and also because the 8th house is active at this time, if you were waiting for any unearned income, like inheritance, insurance settlements, or any other settlements of some kind, this is the month where you could receive it. The only challenge that I do see is that relationships continue to be a challenge. And that is because, again, Jupiter Rahu are in the 8th house. And the fact that Saturn is retrograde in the 6th house is disturbing relationships, all kind of relationships. And this is mainly because of a difference of opinion and ego battles. And one of the main things is because Saturn now retrogrades in the 6th house, people in relationships will keep bringing up past issues, and there may be arguments and discussions about that. Ketu has been in your 2nd house, which is the house of speech, and Ketu talks without thinking. So you've been saying things without really thinking of how they impact the other person. And so you need to be very mindful of what you're saying to people, and you need to think before you speak. And that when Ketu goes into the 2nd house, people don't think before they speak. So this is something, the guidance that I can give to Virgo is to make sure that, you're thinking before you're saying things. You're thinking of the other people before you're saying things, not just blurting things out, because that's what's ruining relationships mainly. So my ongoing guidance to Virgo is to manage your communication and your relationships. As far as health is concerned, there's much recovery after the first week because earlier their Ascendant Lord Mercury was in the 8th house, so it was giving lots of digestive issues to Virgo. Now it moves out of there, and health improves a lot for Virgo now. Overall, it's a very, very positive month for Virgo. Libra for June. Libra, as far as your career is concerned, your Ascendant Lord Venus is in the 10th house of career. So your entire focus this month will be on career matters as well as finance and income. This month, you need to focus on what is holding you back from progressing in your career and what are the changes you need to make to be able to achieve your goals. These changes could be about relationships at work that need to be strengthened, or the effort that you may have not been putting into your work. As soon as you start doing these necessary things that you identify need improvement, you can start seeing very positive developments in your career, probably in July. Libra has had a feeling of insecurity, and this is the transit that will make them feel more secure if they go through this introspection this month. Financially, this is an expensive month. The expense could be related to your spouse's needs. This is more for the first half of the month. The second half of the month is better in terms of financial luck and material gains. Business owners will see better profits after the middle of the month when the sun transits out of the 8th house and into the 9th house. Libra has had Jupiter Rahu conjunction in the 7th house and Saturn in the 5th house for the last several months, which has made for some very disturbed relationships with their spouse as well as their children. And now in June, Mars moves into the 10th house of career. And so this month, Libra has some anger issues that they deal with. So the guidance for Libra this month is to manage their anger with everyone. So don't get into conflicts with anybody, whether it's at work or whether it's at home. Don't keep bringing up past issues and start fights or conflicts with people. You're going to have to do your best to remain calm. And one of the suggestions that I have is drink lots and lots of water. And also, if you can, practice some meditation. It would definitely going to calm your mind down, which you're going to need this month. Mars is in a very strange position. It's also debilitated. So you're going to have some relationship challenges where you're going to start, discussions, arguments, fights, conflicts, and it's going to ruin some situations. So try your best to stay calm and not get into those, combative issues with people. Health this month is really not a concern. If you had digestive issues in the past, you will recover now. And if you might have some cold or allergy related issues right now, but nothing to be worried about. My only guidance to Libra is to manage their anger in June. Like I said, relationships are very tender and fragile. Don't get into conflicts unnecessarily and damage them. Scorpio for June. Scorpio, as far as your career is concerned, after mid-month, the sun will move into the 8th house, and there could be some sudden, unexpected developments in your career. Saturn will also turn retrograde from the 4th house and aspect the 10th house of career. So there could be some career-related matters from the past that now resurface again and may actually have some drastic changes in your career. Now, don't do anything impulsively or without giving it considerable thought. Rahu conjuncts with Jupiter at this time, so give you the tendency to make unwise choices or sudden choices, impulsive choices. So make sure you get either very good advice prior to making any career-related decisions, or you think very thoroughly before you make any career changes. So there's also other things that are going on in your career at this time. Saturn is in the 4th house. It's aspecting the 10th house of career. And so it's forcing you to either work very hard, concentrate and focus on your career or doing things, tasks in your career. Because if you don't, there's going to be maybe inaccuracies, errors, or missed opportunity in some aspect of your job. Also, there's going to be some maybe friction within peers, with superiors. So you really need to focus and concentrate on your career as well as work on relationships in the workplace. And if you don't, or even sometimes maybe even if you do, there's going to be some dissatisfaction in your career, and that's going to cause you to think maybe you need to change your job. And so this is what's going to be on the forefront this month, where you feel dissatisfied and you feel maybe you should just change your job. And that's what I'm kind of trying to tell you is don't do anything impulsively. Rather work on where you're at and improving your situation where you're at. As far as finance is considered, Ketu has been in the 12th house, and the 12th house is the house of loss or expenses. So expenses have been high, or you may have just been spending without thinking. And so obviously that's never a wise thing to do. But this month, there's also a tendency to take on too much loan or credit card debt. So you need to be aware of that and not get yourself in a situation where there's, a lot of debt or high credit card bills. So be, aware of that. Don't take on too much debt. Relationships are going to be disturbed at this time because there's a lot of activity in the 6th house, and sun goes into the 8th house. So the 8th house has activity too. So there's going to be some disagreements, lack of understanding within the marriage. You also may feel that no matter how much you try to please your family with material, happiness, but giving them things, spending money on them, a sense of happiness and satisfaction may be missing. So you need to work on your relationships more than, giving in materially. You need to work on your relationships more at the, intrinsic level, because there's going to be some disturbance there. Saturn being in the 4th house, there's maybe some disturbance with your mother as well, because issues from the past may come up and, you guys could get into a disagreement as well. So you need to work on that as well. Relationship with your mother, the health of your mother may also be impacted at this time. Lastly, but certainly not the least, your ascendant lord is Mars, and it has been debilitated since last month, and it's going to be debilitated all of June. So your health could also be impacted. There could be pain in your shoulders. There could be pain in your legs as well. You may also experience some digestive issues and headaches and some sleep disturbance. So take very good care of your health. Don't stress out too much at this time. Sagittarius for June. Sagittarius, as far as career is concerned, here comes a month that's very positive in terms of career. This is a time of stability in your career, so you're going to feel very stable, rewarded. This is a good chance of promotion and financial benefits this month as well. Your confidence is going to be super high, and there's going to be the chance of some positive recognition in terms of professional achievements as well. And then business owners will do well, and this could be a profitable month for you as well. Jupiter's presence in the 5th house aspects the 9th house, it aspects the 11th house of gains, and then also aspects the 1st house, your ascendant house. And Jupiter is your ascendant lord. So this gives you great aura, confidence, a magnetic personality. And so you need to take advantage of this, where, you work with confidence, you work with a positive attitude, And so this can probably ensure that you have desire fulfillment, you do get recognition. And when the sun moves into the seventh house after the middle of the month, it also aspects you yourself, your ascendant's own house. So it does give you a sense of recognition. It gives you visibility, so people notice you. So make sure you're doing good things in your career, and which is worth getting noticed. So make sure you take full advantage of that. It's a positive month as far as that's concerned. As far as finance is concerned, there's going to be two things that impact it. One, because Mars and Venus are in the eighth house, there could be sudden unexpected expenses that do come up that you weren't planning on. So you need to be very flexible and be aware that that could happen. The other thing is because your fifth house is so activated with Jupiter and Rahu being there, that it's a very good time to do some financial planning regarding investments and speculations. But don't do anything impulsively. Don't take on that negative energy of Rahu. Just make sure you do it from a Jupiterian perspective, which is to make sure you think wisely and maybe even get expert advice and guidance regarding investments. And that's going to get you good benefits in the future. So don't expect anything this month very earth-shattering, very beneficial as far as finance is concerned. But if you do good financial planning, which this month is excellent for, you may get very good returns in the future. When the fifth house is activated, it does mean that you can make very good financial planning for the future regarding investments and speculations. But don't speculate, unwisely or impulsively. This is also a favorable time for relationships with children. Your children will do very, very well. And it's also a positive time for love relationships. The one thing that you really need to be cautious is after middle of the month when the sun moves into the seventh house is how you deal with your spouse. The sun in the seventh house does give ego issues and a little bit of disturbance in the marriage. Don't start fights and discussions or get bossy within the marriage. You need to be very understanding of your spouse instead of being, like I said, bossy or egoistic within the marriage. That's going to be damaging. You also need to watch your communication because Mars does aspect the second house of speech. So make sure you're not very combative, aggressive with others without realizing it. You could be turning off people. Health-wise, no concerns. You'll do very well and have really good energy and focus this month. Capricorn for June. Capricorn, as far as your career is concerned, this is some sort of a strange month. It's good if you are looking for a change, want to relocate to a foreign country for work purposes. But at the same time, it's challenging because Ketu is in the 10th house and it's making lots of Capricorns dissatisfied in their jobs. And they either have already changed their jobs since last year or they are feeling like they need a fresh start and they need to get a different either altogether career or job. So that's why it's good and bad, because if you want to change, then it provides the opportunity for change. But if you don't want to change, then there's a sense of dissatisfaction. And then this month, Capricorn also has a chance to travel for work. So at this time, the guidance is you need to think very carefully about your job, whether you're happy or not, and if you're not, what is the change that you want to make. And then just go after it and try to make the change until Ketu is in the 10th house until October this year. As far as finance is concerned, expenses could be high this month and they could impact your ability to save. And there could be sudden unexpected expenses that come up that you didn't plan for. Your ascendant lord is Saturn and it's going to be retrograde in the second half of the month, and it's in the second house. So it brings up some financial issues from the past within your family and then create a disturbance within the family relationships. After mid-month, there's also a chance that there's a situation with high debt or taking on too much loans due to the high expenses or creating a lot of credit card debt. So you need to be very watchful of your expenses. Like I said, there's a chance of some expense just coming up suddenly. It could be something that comes up from the past that you weren't aware, and now this expense comes up. As far as health is concerned, you need to take good care of it after mid-month as well. There could be issues with body aches and pains, eyes-related issues with maybe eye infections, things like that. And even digestive issues. You may be very mentally stressed at this time. So take very good care of your health. As far as relationships are concerned, the marriage is going to be a little bit challenging this month. The 7th house has debilitated Mars and then Venus in there. So there's going to be some friction in the marriage. You need to manage through that. Also, your relationship with your children may actually be a little bit on the tense side, and also they may not be doing as well. So they need your full support. So make sure you manage your support and, help them in any way that you can. Not a good month for love relationships either. There's going to be ego in that, and then something might happen suddenly because your ego comes in the way of love relationships. So all in all, this month is an okay month. It's good for career changes if you want to make those, and you need to watch your relationships with everybody. And because this month is challenging in a couple of different ways, I'm recommending that, meditation, doing light physical regimen, whatever kind you're comfortable with, will provide a lot of good relief because of the fact that the sixth house is activated. So both of these things could be very helpful in alleviating the negative energy of the sixth house. Aquarius for June. Aquarius, as far as your career is concerned, Saturn is your ascendant lord, and it is also in the ascendant house or the first house. And that means that the burden of extra work and responsibility keeps on increasing for you. You may also face some challenges in your career, and no matter how hard you work, there may be a delay in getting positive rewards or recognition in return for your hard work. Financially speaking, the monetary gains also slow down, but on the other hand, the expenses continue to stay high. It is very critical that you do some excellent financial planning this month to avoid problems as far as finance is concerned in the future. Because the third house is so active, the only exception is that Aquarians that are in the business of IT, communication, social media, and writing may actually do well in June. Also, those professions that are based on commissions, that they get compensated based on commissions, and that those that have traveling jobs will actually be favorably impacted. Mars and Venus are very important planets for Aquarius, and both of them are in the sixth house. And so they're damaging the health as well as the finances for Aquarius in June. It will get better in July, but June is a challenging month for Aquarius. And as I mentioned, health is also not the best. Saturn is going to be retrograde after mid-month in the first house, and the first house denotes your physical body. So this brings up some health issues from the past. So issues that were in the past now, resurface. There could be aches and pains in the body. There could be mental stress, worries, and even some sleep issues. And, there could be prone to headaches and some digestive issues. Unfortunately, I just have loads of bad news for Aquarius because love and relationships are also going to be difficult this month. There is lack of harmony within the marriage. Rahu in the third house with Jupiter rules your communication. So the only guidance that I can give Aquarius at this time is to try your best to keep your communication very positive. And I mean with everybody. Do that. This will actually help in keeping relationships positive. Otherwise, right now relationships are damaged. Like I mentioned, Mars rules the career for Aquarius, and Venus is Yogkarak for Aquarius. It rules the domestic happiness. It also rules the good luck, and they're both in the sixth house, and so sixth house is challenging house. So if it is this reason that Aquarius is not probably going to have the best month, but both these planets will move out of there, and July promises to be a lot better month. So just kind of deal with it this month. It's just 1 month, and I'm sorry that I'm really doing this bad prediction for Aquarius. But there is one more thing that you can really do, and that's going to be very positive for you. Ketu is in the ninth house. The ninth house is your dharma, your religious belief system, and your spirituality. So if you can do, mantra practice, if you can do some stay spiritual, do meditation, luck factor does get activated. So that's a wonderfully life-changing, magical remedy that you can do and change things for you. So stay spiritual, do some meditation and stay close to the divine. Pisces for June. Pisces, as far as their career is concerned, it's going to get a lot better after mid-month when the sun transits to the fourth house and aspects the 10th house of the career. In the past, Pisces has had to do a lot of hard work and probably not been recognized or rewarded for their hard work. But this month, when the sun aspects your house of career, you could get noticed by your superiors at work. And so you may see some rewards of your hard work. But the sun also gives some ego issues at work. So you need to stay humble and don't get bossy with your coworkers. There is the possibility of some disturbance in relationships with colleagues as well as people that are working for you. And that's going to create some tension and work pressure for you. So manage relationships at work really well. Don't be bossy, don't get combative, and try to be as cordial as possible. Give people a break. Don't be so demanding of them. I think that's what's creating a problem for Pisces for long term now. Financially, the expenses are staying high, and now Saturn's retrograde in the 12th house means that there could be some old forgotten expenses that resurface now, and now they need to get taken care of. Business owners also may have some challenges with their business being profitable due to labor issues, and then having a tough time due to the competition. So Pisces, your ascendant lord is Jupiter, and it is with Rahu and Mercury in the second house. And the second house denotes family, finance, and you would think that that's a good transit. It is a positive transit because your ascendant going into the second house means that you're going to be very, very focused on career as well as finance, more on finance than career, I should say. So that does mean that you're going to work very hard towards, making good money, making good income, and you will do that. You will see good income as a result of your hard work. But the issue with financial planning is going to be that your expenses are very high, and they're continuing to stay high because of Saturn being in the 12th house, and the 12th house, a house of loss or expenses. And so that's the reason for financial instability for Pisces. Now, as far as your health is concerned, take care of your health. There's a chance of some eye troubles, immunity issues, cough, and then general body aches. Nothing serious, but just something, naggy little things that you need to take care of. As far as love and relationships, nothing very exciting, good or bad, is going on. It stays status quo, and one of the reasons is that Pisces is so intently working on their career and finance, and that's putting their whole focus on that. They're not really working on love relationships, or really not so intent on love and relationships. Venus and Mars in the 5th house, Mars being debilitated, challenges relationships with children, or your children may have some situation going on. Also, love life is probably not very positive at this time. And one last thing about Pisces is that it has had Ketu in the 8th house, which brings about an element of suddenness. So these sudden events could relate to relationships. So do what you can, like stay very cordial, watch your communication, don't burn bridges, don't get into fights with anybody. And so this element of suddenness can be controlled. But if something does happen, stay open, stay adaptable, flexible, so you're prepared to deal with it. This brings me to the end of my video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I want you to have a very, very good month of June. See you on my next video.